everyone, this is Julie Murphy, actually getting ready to work on a towel. I've got it hooped up on a magnetic hoop, and I have a piece of wash away. Let me just show you. It is the Floriani Wet and Gone Tacky Pressure Sensitive Water Soluble Stabilizer that's on the bottom, and I've placed that in the hoop and just X'd over it. I've showed you that before. And then on top, I'm just floating a piece of, it's an Ultra Solvy by Sulky. Let me see if you can see that. And it also is a water soluble. Now, some of you have asked, well, why don't you just go ahead and hoop the tacky one on top and on bottom? Well, I've done that before, and the problem with that is when you go to wet it down, they actually bond together and you get a really hard surface. This piece of Solvy on top, I'll be able to tear it away. It doesn't stick to the design and it won't bond to the piece that's underneath it. So you'll get a much softer towel after you're done. Now, this process really only works when you're doing a design that is not dense. If I was doing a denser design, I would use a cutaway on the bottom and probably still use the Ultra Solvy on top. It just kind of keeps your stitches from sinking in. So let's move over to the screen. Because I've got my computer hooked up to the screen, first thing I'm going to do is touch this button down here that looks like a computer with a triad. There is my design. I will set it. And you can see I've got it in two colors right now just because I want to have the option of changing before I do the name. So this is the step that you need to do if you want to add a basting stitch. You're going to go embroidery. Once we're in the embroidery screen, we're going to press this little button here with the flower and the box around it, and watch around our design when we press that button. See how it added the box around our design? So before we move back over to our towel, I want to show you what we're going to do. First thing I'm going to do is press this plus minus down here. It shows you the very first thing we're going to do is stitch our basting stitch. And we're going to be using these plus minus buttons when we move back over to our towel. So let me show you that next. Now that we're back over at the fabric, I'm going to do +1 on the screen. Now if I started trying to stitch at this point, do the basting stitch, most likely it's not going to grab the bobbin. First thing I'm going to do is grab a hold of the top thread, and I'm going to hold my thread tail, and I'm going to do needle down, needle up, and then I'm going to raise the presser foot, and I've grabbed a hold of my bobbin thread. Once I have the bobbin thread and the top thread, I'm actually going to pull them out of the way and hold on to them, lower the presser foot, and press the machine to get it started. I'll stop it right there so I can move these out of the way. And there you go. You can see that it's actually doing our basting stitch. Now at this point, I do make sure that I keep the stabilizer flat as it just goes around and stabilizes our design. Now we'll tell you one other thing that's helpful about doing this is if you have to make an adjustment to how your design is on your towel or wherever you're doing it, now is the time to make that adjustment. You can look at to see how it's all lined up, see if you need to tilt it. For this towel, I actually think that it's kind of where I want it, so I'm happy with it. So I'm going to lower the presser foot and let it go ahead and keep stitching.